Hi, thanks for having me.
So what is it? Is it art or activism, this loopholeforall.com?
Well, it's a set of things. It's art for sure, because I am an artist, and it's hacking, and it's activism, and it's journalism probably too, investigative journalism.
So let me see if I can get this straight. It's tax season. If I were a billionaire, or even if I were just me, you're saying that no matter how much money I have, I can now buy a tax haven in Cayman Islands?
Yes, the
How's it work?
project promotes to democratize tax haven so that everyone can afford them by basically stealing the identities of real Cayman companies in this case, but I would love to expand this project to other offshore centers.
So how does it work?
I provide the basic things to hijack a company. Hijacking a company is really common actually in the business world. But the basic thing that you can do is just invoice through a company based in the Cayman Islands. So I provide the certificate of incorporation of a Cayman company, a mailbox in the Cayman. So I will basically forward all the envelope for your business where you are in an anonymous way. So it works very well for little business and freelance people. So the people that are really squeezed by tax today, because now they can invoice through a Cayman company.
So they go to your site, and there are various different options, but they can, as you say, get everything they need to look as if they're operating from the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, that is the point. And these basically exploit the fact that the real owner of those companies are anonymous. So since no one knows who is the real owner, everybody can pretend to be them and just start to use that company there. And since it's legal to avoid taxes and having a company in the Cayman Island, everyone can do that.
Well, you brought up the legal question. First, how many people have taken advantage of your offering? And then B, let's talk about how legal it is.
Having a company in the Cayman is totally legal, and that is the point. It probably is not legal at the Cayman, stealing the identity of those companies, but here, is another jurisdiction, so it's really pushing these boundaries in a different way. Many people actually bought these certificates. How many people they use it, I don't know, but many people wrote me and asked me how to use, especially where this project became more popular, like in South Europe, where also this issue is like more important right now.
You call this civil disobedience and a provocation, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers would agree, but PayPal does not agree and recently froze all of the money that you'd raised so far from for these certificates.
Yeah, I think someone really took this seriously, although it's a piece of art for me and the other people that are engaged in this. So PayPal say that I am engaging in illegal activity, and they froze all the little money that I did by sending identity of Cayman Island, that basically they were JPEG of piece of paper where there is this certificate. So it's really questionable if that is illegal or not. And the other interesting reaction was from the Cayman Islands, so that became really covered by the mass media, the mainstream media, the Cayman Islands. So the national TV had to cover this project, and they asked to the company register at the Cayman what was going on, and they totally denied that the website was hacked, but actually it was, because that information wasn't public. And interesting was also the reaction from the business in the Cayman Islands. So, for example, a real estate agency wrote me and asked me, well, okay, people can invoice through using my company, but what about withdrawing money from my bank account with that document? I don't know, maybe it's the only document that verified the identity of a company, because it's the only ID of a company, since the owner is actually anonymous.
You mentioned the Cayman Islands media. Your project hasn't gotten a whole lot of attention so far, but neither, to be fair, have tax havens gotten very much media attention, really, in the grand scheme of things. And yet I saw a report by a former McKinsey Group researcher who's estimated that something between $20 and $30 trillion are right now parked in these no-tax havens. What kind of companies are we talking about that take advantage of this tax law?
80% of hedge funds are based in the Cayman Islands. This means your pensions, most of the pension of American citizen, public money as private money, and no one knows who is behind these kind of structure, financial structure. Basically, today, every single multinational in the world use tax haven, I would say, and beside them, all the major banks in the world. So not surprising, all the money is routed through those tax haven because pretty easy loophole in a way, because you just can pretend to be based in one of those little islands and saying, look, here there is no tax. And so this is happening everywhere, and tax havens are quite a lot today, actually, and it became bigger in the last, I would say, 20 years. There are many more competitors, I would say. So they compete against each other. So for example, City of London is this neighbor in the center of London that is considered offshore center, for example, as well as Cayman. If you look at the website of the City of London, they promote like financial service as like a bank park in a way. So they compete and they say which are their best feature.
There has been a report recently that came out in the second week of April from an international consortium of investigative journalists that revealed thousands of documents. I guess they received some leaks documenting hundreds of people in 170 countries who were all participating or benefiting from these tax havens.
The rich individual will always use these tricks, for kind of corruption, internal corruption, political corruption. It will still happen. But I think now, today, we really need to tackle the big companies rather than single individuals.
Now, Barack Obama in 2008 in the election campaign talked about Cayman Islands activity as, I think he said, some of the biggest or worst banking scam in the world, something like that?
Yes.
Since coming into office, what's he done about it?
There is quite a lot of political pressure to change the situation, but there are also a lot of companies, every company is involved in these offshoring structures. And politicians as well are involved, as this leak demonstrates. So the point is that to change it will take time, but things are changing. And someone even said that it's like apartheid, was really hard to get rid of that or changing the legislation about that because everyone was involved back at the time. And today we are in the same situation. 80% of the hedge funds there, every single multinational using them. So it would take quite a lot of time to make it different.
So in a way, your loopholeforall.com project is a kind of break economic apartheid gesture. How is it art?
Well, first of all, there is quite a lot of irony. What I really like about working with this type of information, and especially about the power of information and challenging this power, is engaging people in that. So sometimes it's this like as a performance where people participate in this idea that I create. And then it's much about visualization of information, like hidden information, materialization of an information. For example, in this case, they are paper certificates. So you wouldn't think that is much important because you always think, oh, there's all digital, virtual information. But actually that certificate, paper certificate, has a value, especially if you have a company at the Cayman Island, because as again, it's the only document that they have. So for me, it's really interesting giving these, materializing this information. And then the artistic action to sign all these certificates under my name, so issuing this new type of reality in a way that I create, and obviously it's quite absurd. So just like play with imagination and creativity quite a lot.
What happens next?
Since PayPal banned me from selling through their Luxembourg subsidiary, by the way, I am providing everything for free. So now everyone can actually have a Cayman mailbox for free, and it will help them to avoid taxes here. And also the certificates signed by me are are for free for the next months. And probably this will generate something else, maybe also from the Cayman, because when there is quite a lot of people using and stealing the identity of these companies, may create other pressure against them.
Are you worried?
No, I am not worried. Actually, part of this project is using the same machination of these companies. So I set up a company in the city of London that was really cheap to buy, actually, and that is like my shield for legal persecution. So if they want to look forward me, they have to just talk to that company that is called Paolo Cirio Ltd. And so because of that, legally, I am not really worried. Personally, some friends of mine are worried for my safety, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's still an art project.
Paolo Cirio, thanks so much for joining us. You can get more information at loopholeforall.com.